Much of the modern history of coastal California owes its beginnings to the establishment of the string of Franciscan missions. The mission San Buenaventura was planted by Father Junipero Serra on Easter Sunday, March 31st, 1782. 50 years later, the Mexican government secularized the missions, causing their lands to be sold, ushering in the period of the great ranchos. Cattle production brought great wealth to the rancheros. Cattle sales spiked when gold was discovered in the mother lode far to the north, vastly increasing the need for hides, tallow, and beef for miners and the towns that grew up nearby. Early in the 1860s, disastrous floods, followed by drought, ruined the cattle herds, leading to land division and sale to smaller farmers, fruit growers, and entrepreneurs. Lemons were the first large-scale fruit crop developed. Lima bean and sugar beet cultivation were profitable on the Oxnard Plain. Oil was first discovered near San Buenaventura in 1865. Though it was many years before oil exploration yielded profits, it would play a major role in the city's future. The building of the wharf in 1872 enabled local farmers to export their produce north to markets in San Francisco and south to Los Angeles. Then in 1887, the coastline of the Southern Pacific Railroad linked Ventura to Los Angeles, adding more commercial contacts and spurring population growth. By 1889, Ventura's population was 1,370 souls. Many Southern California communities prospered because of the railroad. During the last quarter of the 19th century, Ventura's appearance changed. Multi-storied luxury hotels replaced simple false front structures. Streets began to be graded. Sidewalks were laid. The town's first theater opened, all promoted by the fair climate, the fine agriculture, and economic promise. By 1890, Ventura's population swelled to 2,320 persons. San Buenaventura and its environs drew people with many interests, skills, and talents, giving reason to the arrival in the late 19th century of those who would found St. Paul's Episcopal Church of Ventura. In 1887, a small gathering of Episcopalians in the home of Judge Lemuel C. McCready decided to petition Bishop William Kipp of the Diocese of California, there being only one diocese in the state until 1896, to establish a mission congregation. Canonical consent was granted on December 11th, and a vestry was elected with George C. Power, senior warden. A Yale graduate in civil engineering, Power came to Ventura in the late 1870s to serve as county surveyor and city engineer. He designed the first map of Ventura County, a city sewer system, the first Santa Clara River Bridge. He owned the water rights to Seaside Park. His interests extended to farming and the packing and distribution of lima beans and lemons. The Power family ranch was in the vicinity of Main Street, Loma Vista, and Telegraph Roads. Less than a year after receiving the bishop's consent, the congregation filed incorporation papers with the state of California. With the aid of a resident vicar, the Reverend F.R. Sanford, the congregation left rented worship space, having built their own clapboard version of an English Gothic church at the corner of Oak and Santa Clara Streets. This building served for over half a century. One of the ranchers who bought land in the Ventura Avenue area was Eugene P. Foster, who successfully raised apricots. He was an active Episcopalian and benefactor. In time, he owned considerable land holdings, which were later donated to the city, including Seaside Park, Foster Park, the site for the Foster Library, and for Foster Memorial Hospital, now Community Memorial Hospital. He donated thousands of palm trees for street improvement projects and raised funds for 3 causeways along the beach to improve travel from Ventura to Santa Barbara. Eugene and Orpha Foster raised 4 daughters and were dedicated to their education, an uncommon value in the late 19th century. They also raised from childhood Robert Burton Gooden, who graduated from Ventura High School in 1898, attended an Episcopal seminary, and was welcomed as vicar of St. Paul's Ventura from 1902 to 1906. Robert Gooden's later ministry included being headmaster of Harvard School in North Hollywood and election as suffragan bishop of Los Angeles in 1939. He died at the age of 101 in 1975. St. Paul's chapter of the Daughters of the King is named in memory of Bishop Gooden, as is the former rectory at the south end of the Loma Vista property once it was converted from a residence into a multi-purpose building for the church and day school. During the years of World War I, services were conducted as usual. By 1920, the population of Ventura was 4,156. About this time, St. Paul's congregation numbered 45 families, of which 80 were baptized and 55 were communicants. The Sunday school required 7 teachers. The church budget was $3,250, half of which was for clergy support. By 1930, Ventura's population almost tripled to 11,603, largely due to the development of the Ventura Avenue oil fields. A new parish house was built next to the church on Oak Street and dedicated May 8, 1927, a gift from George Power in memory of his wife of 45 years, Mary Brace Power. Within a year, the Reverend S. Reginald Hammond became rector and served for the next 20 years. George Power was senior warden again, with responsibility for 102 families that included 280 baptized members and 141 communicants. During this time, St. Paul's was known for its large and active ministry with youth. From 1947 to 1950, the Reverend Gilbert Prince served as rector to the growing congregation. During this time, Episcopalians in Ojai expressed interest in establishing a mission. Members of St. Paul's were instrumental in assisting with the start of a Sunday school and conducting worship on a regular basis. St. Andrew's Mission was formally organized in 1950. At the end of 1950, the Reverend William Gilbert became rector, serving for 19 years. Upon arrival, he recognized that the post-World War II growth in the city had moved east, with 80% of the congregation living east of Ventura High School. The congregation had grown so that the redwood Gothic-style building on Santa Clara and Oak Streets that seated 125 was insufficient for its needs. Land was purchased on Loma Vista Road across from the county hospital. And during 1953, the year the congregation built a facility containing 15 Sunday school rooms on the new site, it worshiped downtown. The succeeding months of transition were fraught with failed attempts to find a proper user for the old church, and eventually it was demolished, but not before its furnishings found new homes at St. Andrew's Ojai and Trinity Church in Fillmore. The rector study was moved to the Ventura Avenue. This first building was dedicated on Maundy Thursday, 1954. And in 3 days on Easter Sunday morning, ground was broken for the adjoining parish hall. The building served dual purposes, with the north end permanent sanctuary able to be screened off when fellowship uses filled the hall. The Parish Hall Worship Center was formally opened by the bishop on March 6, 1955. Robert Wright and Carolyn Southward were the first couple married in the newly dedicated sanctuary. The expanding congregation required more space, so a third building fund campaign was undertaken with groundbreaking for a church building on June 28, 1958. The work was completed and dedicated the Sunday after Easter, April 5, 1959. Bishop Robert Gooden, retired suffragan bishop of the Diocese of Los Angeles, officiated and confirmed a large class of candidates. As 1960 opened, the congregation numbered 1,105 baptized members, with a Sunday school enrollment of 394. The wedding of Ruth Rose and Gerald McCool on July 10, 1960, was one of the first in the new church building. The Power Right Memorial Sunday School Annex, completed in 1962 and dedicated in memory of the founding Power family, provided office space and additional classrooms for the church complex. A new phase of St. Paul's life and ministry began to appear in the early 1960s. Gilbert served as dean of a church school in his former parish in Washington State and generated interest in the concept among parishioners here. At the time, the congregation put its energy into their new location in eastern Ventura. Serious thought for a school had to wait. Yet when the Reverend Robert E. Henry was elected in 1969 to succeed Gilbert, his qualifications as a leader in building schools was among the vestry's priorities. A school committee was soon convened, funds were raised, and ground was broken March 7, 1971. The Parish Day School opened on September 12th with 116 students, 41 of whom were children of parish families. Bishop Robert Gooden, now 97, officiated at the dedication. Initially, classes were provided for a preschool through 5th grade program, expanding 1 grade a year to 8th grade. In 1972, a triplex at St. Paul's Drive and San Pablo Street was purchased and converted to accommodate a junior high program. An arrangement was made with St. Bonaventure High School for the use of its athletic field for the Parish Day School's daily physical education program. Worship began each school day. The basic curriculum of academic skills was also enhanced with classes in French, later supplanted by Spanish, music, art, computer technology, and science. The junior high girls could take ballet as an elective, which was taught by Mrs. Barbara Henry, trained by Balanchine at the American Ballet Theater. To accommodate student performances and theatrical productions of the St. Paul's Players, a stage was built with a proscenium, occupying the space in the parish hall once dedicated to the sanctuary. Other pursuits occupied our life of worship and service. Henry suddenly resigned in 1986. A subsequent court action in 1988 ended in his conviction for child molestation. The Reverend Jerome E. Kaler succeeded Henry in September 1988 as the congregation was beginning to celebrate its centennial. The congregation in the day school community had declined significantly on account of the allegations of misconduct and the eventual conviction of Henry. The healing process is a continuing reality. In the past 2 decades, the city of Ventura has continued a process of change common to human settlements. Old industries have morphed into new ones. Agriculture has been transformed by new technologies. St. Paul's congregation has also undergone change, experiencing growth spurts and periods of rest and the death of fabled leadership. Sunday school enrollment has approached 100 some years and 30 in others. The day school's families, once swelling with professionals and business leaders that could provide well on the salary of a single wage earner, experienced a shift to a growing number of single-parent families with very few available hours to volunteer. These families required the services of an all-day program. Requests for financial aid increased alarmingly. Still, our graduates demonstrated high academic skill upon entrance to local public and private high schools, a good indication that we accomplished our goal of seeking the best in each child. Our campus and facilities improved year after year, adding greater functionality and beauty for those who learn and serve. The Memorial Garden, providing a final resting place for the saints, was dedicated in 1990. Late in the 1990s, a major renovation of the parish hall that provided facilities for the handicapped, along with a ramp to the church, an improved patio, and a plaza in front of the church with a labyrinth for meditative walking, was completed. At the end of the 2008-2009 school year, having served the community for 37 years, the school board and vestry voted to cease school operations. Though a shock to many, for a decade, these two bodies made every effort to strengthen the school in the face of declining enrollment numbers, increased demand for financial aid, and costs leading to a reduction in the academic and the enhanced program offerings upon which our reputation was built. In 2010, St. Paul's still grieves the loss of the parish day school. Yet closing that chapter allowed us to turn our energies to other outreach programs. The congregation has made a substantial investment of money and volunteers in mission efforts. Working ecumenically and with the city, we are engaged in efforts to end homelessness and in mission work in Ghana, West Africa. God willing, St. Paul's and our ministries will continue to serve the Ventura community with good grace for another 120 years.